Hi everyone, this is Kenya aka Taemon Rebel. It's been a long time since I've done a drama review, so here I am with a drama review with a show that I enjoyed very thoroughly all the way to the end, called Mr. Queen. Its main airing station is TVN, but you can catch it on Viki. It is 20 episodes long and it's a comedy, romance, historical drama. It is adapted from a Chinese novel that I'm not going to even bother pronouncing the name to, but there is also a Chinese drama called Go Princess Go that I don't know if it's a similar story. Korea probably could have changed up the story, but I know I'm not gonna go watch it. So if anyone's seen it, please comment below, because I don't know how it is. Me and Chinese dramas don't get along. It stars Shin Hye-sun and Kim Jong-hyun, and it also stars Bae Jong-ok, Kim Tae-woo, Sol In-na, and Na In-woo. And our honorary mention, Chojung. He's literally only in the show for like 5 episodes, but he is our original Jang Bong-hwan. So, quick summary of the show, as simple as I can make it. So we start the show off with Jang Bong-hwan, played by Chojung, who is an elite chef, and he ends up getting a job at the Blue House, which is South Korea's version of the White House. And there, he's a top star. He's the top chef. But he is framed for an incident that makes him lose his job. So when he's confronted at his apartment, he then falls off his railing, lands in a pool, and hits his head. He is then thrusted into Joseon era, where he is now in the mind of soon-to-be queen Kim So-young's body. He finds out very quickly in So-young's body that she is caught in the fight between her family's political corruption and the king's battle to reveal their misdeed. Bong-hwan in So-young's body also deals with being conflicted in So-young's body with her memories and feelings while trying to remain the man he once was. While on top of that, dealing with the king's original lover, and as So-young being used as a pawn for her family's schemes. That's all butchered. I butchered the hell out of that. Okay, that is a summary as well as I can make it out in for the whole oversight of this show. Let's move on to the characters. The characters is where it's at. Like, they are the main reason why I stuck around for this show. So let's start off with So-young / Bong-hwan, played by Shin Hye-sun. So the original Bong-hwan is a womanizing master chef, basically. He doesn't believe anything could go wrong in his life until things go very, very wrong. And he's accused of, I don't know whether it was kill or poison. Something happened with a fish bone getting stuck in a Chinese politician's throat. He was framed for that incident. So everything does go wrong, and he's now jolted back all the way to Joseon, where he is now in the soon-to-be queen's body, So-young. When you think it would be cringe for an overly confident, womanizing macho man to be stuck, in a really small woman's body, and how they could pull that off, I don't know how. I don't know why, but Shin Hye-sun was so good at pulling off being a douchebag without completely being a douchebag, if you get my drift. So I've never watched anything else from her. I kind of dropped Angel's Last Mission, even though she was great acting in it. I couldn't stand the storyline. So I've never watched I saw 17 again. She was great in that too. But this one, this takes the cake. I don't even know how she can one-up herself with playing a man in a woman's body and still being pretty feminine while also being very macho at the same time. I don't know how she didn't make it cringe, but it worked. It worked. Her actions, gestures, facial movements were all so spot on, down to the tiny little minuscule details. It was perfection. It was so good. But the original So-young did have a lot of internal strife within the palace, from the king, from outside sources, from her families. It was really cool seeing how Bong-hwan on the inside of So-young was dealing with this internal conflict of still having the temptations of a man, but understanding the sentimental and emotional side the original Soyoung was dealing with within the palace. Not without him losing that charismatic, bold attitude of his. And you never really get to learn about the original Soyoung, just that she was just, you know, a polite, modest female for that era of time, and that she was being used as a pawn in her family's political games. Outside of that, you don't really even know her. Seeing how Bong Hwan dealt with her feelings and memories, you think that someone would eventually realize she's acting like a completely different person, but for some reason people thought she acted different, but nobody really bothered to investigate why she was acting so different. You'd think her dad would actually try to actually realize that's not his daughter, but I took a step back and I put that under the rug. All in all, though, it is a comedy, so it's not really meant to be, a lot of stuff isn't really meant to be taken seriously, like the personality switches. You kind of just take it with stride, right? But it is just a comedy, and honestly, every time I saw Shin Hye-sun on screen, which obviously the whole time, was just a magical moment of what can she possibly do? Or what can he in her body possibly do? Not to make this any more weirder than it is, and he ends up still doing some weird shit. Alright, let's move on to King Chojung, played by Kim Jung-hyun. So all my drama lovers know, hopefully all of you know, that Jung-hyun is, he's kind of a method actor. So every role he plays, he's pretty much immersed in. So the only shows I've seen him in are Crash Landing on You and School 2017. School 2017 is one of my favorite out of the school series. And Crash Landing on You, he was a supporting actor, but at the same time, he took such command of that role as usual because of the way he portrays his character. But Chojung is a puppet king. So he is a king that basically has to play dumb and acts like he can't govern, you know, the nation. So he was put in the role by the Kim family, who is the family of our queen Soyoung / Bong Hwan, and that's why he does not trust her. But underneath that facade of his, he is a smart, level-headed, cunning, but gracious ruler. He's always 5 steps ahead of the Kim family, and he plays to win. He is definitely a hustler, and I respect that. But personality-wise, he's pretty much like any other ruler / young male within a powerful role such as this one. Attentive, always cautious, gentle when need be, and headstrong. You know, that's the basic outline of any young male who has a powerful position who's in love, you know. But put Chojung with Soyoung / Bong Hwan and it's just absolute chaos. And that's what makes this show so good. He tries so hard to stay neutral around her, but because of Bong Hwan and Soyoung's body, it's just a chaotic, unpredictable mess, and he does not know how to deal. So Chojung tries to understand his new queen, but in the process, he ends up falling in love with this version of her, and honestly, low-key is just a version of Soyoung that has just kind of been dormant within her, and Bong Hwan is kind of like bringing it out. So in turn, he just becomes just as energetic as Soyoung, and it's great to see these two literally build up together from this very distrusting king who hates the Kim family, who despises everyone around him, even his soon-to-be queen. But once Soyoung or Bong Hwan enters Soyoung's body and he just runs rampant, you get to see this version of Chojung who is also just as playful. He can get jealous, he can play jokes, he learns to accommodate her as well as learning to be himself again, and it's so great to see. And when Bong Hwan obtains all of Soyoung's memories again, he starts obviously questioning his he starts questioning himself. But after you realize, oh yeah, I'm still a man, but for some reason she's taking over me at certain points in time, you really can't help but root for them. So I was really curious about how this was going to end. But the ending is definitely what worth it. So from here, we're going to move on to pros and cons. So the first pro I have is that the politics in the show are easy to understand. They always keep it within the court and with the two families that they presented to you at the beginning. So everything that happens is always going to be within the Jo and the Kim family. 3 other families do join eventually as through the king's concubines, so he can obviously gain some power with more family backing, but they don't really play a huge part in the majority of the show. So just know that the Jo and the Kim family do not like each other, and they take up a majority of the state council positions. That's all you need to know. My second pro, the comedy is so good. The comedy is spot on. Every moment the show gets deep and dark, the characters and the story easily bring you back to the comedic element of the show. So every time something gets too deep, here comes Seo-young / Bong Hwan dealing with some eternal strife or not understanding something that's happening in the palace, or whether to indulge in his male side and entertain the concubines who are meant for the king, but he really got them to entertain himself, taking advantage of the fact that he can spend time with them as the leader of the concubines instead of having to deal with the king. But then his other side deals with, should I flirt with the concubines or should I go flirt with the king? Seeing him go through this strife is the best thing. But not just Seo-young and Bong Hwan's issues, all of the side characters elicit just as much comedy, and I honestly laughed every single episode because of interactions and dialogue and, you know, just straight up great character development. Number 3 pro would obviously be the acting. If it wasn't for the acting, I wouldn't have stuck around with the show. Shin Hye-sun and Kim Jong-hyun do such a great job. I can't even express how much abundance of joy they gave me watching this show. I'm so blown away by how these two can command the screen together without outshining each other. When it's like they worked in this perfectly cohesive unit, knowing we both carry this drama, and that is what they did. With just those two, they were amazing. I can't express how fond I am of them and how I just became a huge fan. I just can't express it. Like, they really made me frequently rewind scenes so I could hear a certain line that they executed very well, or I could see a certain minuscule facial feature twitch that made the whole essence of that scene completely change just with a raise of an eyebrow or a smirk. I had to rewind so many times just to be able to catch those feelings again within that scene. It was so good. Fourth pro, the side characters. It was great seeing that they all had their own little story. It never overtook the main story, but it was great seeing that we got to see how they interacted with the king and queen themselves, and how they dealt with palace life and how they were going through and what they were being controlled by and stuff like that. So all the side characters also elicited a great amount of comedy, and they were also very, very good actors. I love this whole cast. All right, so I did have one con. It was a con until I saw the ending. So I can't pronounce her name. Uy Bin is the king's lover at the beginning of the series. It's like at the beginning she didn't hold any type of promise. She was just kind of there to show that she was also being manipulated by the families. Her only strife was Seo-young herself because they were fighting for the king's attention. And I was thinking we got nothing else out of her other than being a second female lead with no aspirations for herself, just to be the king's lover. And I was waiting for so long to see where her worth came in, but it kind of just never did until later. Like, her main worth wasn't utilized until to the very end, and that is my one con, is that they just did not utilize her the way they could have until the very end. And then you just get a quick couple of scenes with her, you know, helping the cause. So in the end, Seo-young and Uy Bin kind of just butted heads because they wanted what was best for their lives and for the kings, but it just made it seem like Uy Bin was easier to manipulate. She was just easier to control because she only had eyes for the king. And I just didn't like that they didn't utilize her greater aspect until the very end. Okay, that is it. So overall rating is a 9 out of 10. I know I talked about this thing like I gave it a 10 out of 10, right? But no, for some reason, despite the ending being well paced and satisfying a majority of my curiosity, I wasn't satisfied with something. I kind of just felt lost with one aspect of the show, and I can't pinpoint it, but I just didn't get that overall satisfying feeling that I usually get with dramas I make a 10. But I highly recommend the show for sticking to its comedy with the right amount of drama. It has a simplistic storyline if you're used to political strife and dramas. The politics in this aren't that complicated. It's pretty easy with the two families. It has great dialogue, and personally it's probably one of my favorite dramas when it comes to character development. That everyone develops so well. Not everyone, but a majority of the cast of the characters develop very well throughout the whole show. I definitely did not mind that there were 20 episodes. It didn't feel like 20 episodes. It was well paced, and every single episode was utilized, and there was no fillers. Like I said, it was such a smooth ride for 20 episodes. And usually if you go past 16, things get a little rocky. But for 20 episodes, it was just the right amount of everything. And I enjoyed this show thoroughly. Once again, it's a 9 out of 10. If you have any recommendations for anything similar to Mr. Queen, please comment down below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up. Please like, subscribe, and comment. You know, if you don't comment, I don't know what you guys want. All right, thank you. See you next time.